the Great British Manufacturing Podcast, brought to you by MTD, MFG and Jefferson.
Hello and welcome to the Great British Manufacturing Podcast. On this week's podcast, we will discuss the latest positive British manufacturing news from the last 7 days. And on this week's show, we'll also welcome a special guest, Matt Pearson, Industrial Key Account Manager at MANN+HUMMEL. But before we do that, I want to talk about Factory Now. The Factory Now initiative has been launched to help British manufacturing sector boost sales, collaborate and reshore. New members are joining all the time, and this week we're delighted to welcome Schneider Electric, a truly global company providing energy and automation digital solutions to enhance efficiency and sustainability. Stuart, great to catch up as always. How are you doing?
Yeah, very well, thanks, Joe. Even though we're in December, still lots of good news, so looking forward to it.
Indeed. Speaking of news, let's jump straight in. Nissan unveils a global electrification program, and you're gonna guess the answer to this, really, aren't you? But it's Northeast has played a massive role in this.
Absolutely. So Nissan Sunderland plant, Britain's biggest car factory, will be at the centre of a £13.2 billion investment in developing electric vehicles. Japanese car makers stated the Northeast plant would take the lead towards electrification as it unveiled plans to develop 23 new electric models by 2030. In July, which we covered on the podcast, Nissan set out plans for a £1 billion electric vehicle hub in Sunderland, including a £450 million gigaplant to be built by its battery partner Envision, and the production of an all-new electric model. The investment is expected to create 6,000 British jobs. So yeah, all happening in the North East.
Yeah, BSA Motorcycles is the next one. Any you keen cyclists out there, you'll know the name BSA Motorcycles, but maybe for non-cyclists, motorcyclists, you may not.
Yeah, I mean, probably the most well-received story we've covered on MTD and Jefferson this week, Joe. They've announced, BSA has announced the return of the historic British motorcycle marque. An all-new model set to be built in the UK at a factory in the Midlands will be unveiled at the Motorcycle Live event in Birmingham, which is, I think, on Saturday, actually, on December the 4th. Founded in 1919, the BSA name was synonymous with the halcyon days of the British motorcycle industry. Brands like Beazer, Norton, Triumph, Sunbeam, and many more dominated the sector. At its peak, it was the largest motorcycle manufacturer in the world. Indian industrial conglomerate Mahindra acquired the brand in 2016 for a reported $3.4 million. And finally, we're going to see a new model.
Yeah, Griffon Hovercraft has secured a major export order. It is a big one, this one.
It certainly is. So the British manufacturer, they've secured a £25 million Japanese export order, one of the biggest deals in its history. The Southampton-based firm will supply 3 craft to the Oita Prefecture government, forgive my pronunciation, in Japan. Work on the first hovercraft will start at the end of January next year, with the final craft set to be delivered to the customer before January 2024. Firm's design team working with the Japanese government to adapt the design to local requirements. The craft will carry approximately 80 people with a payload of 12 tons and a top speed of 45 knots.
Fantastic. And you mentioned popular stories. This has probably been the most popular one I've seen on MTD this week. The story about Babcock. Fantastic news. Yeah,
the British engineering giant has announced plans to recruit 500 workers for its Type 31 frigate programme. As a build of its new state-of-the-art assembly hall, the Ventura building is completed at its Rosyth site. The Ventura building will be initially used for the assembly of the Royal Navy's Type 31 frigate, providing a facility that can support UK and international shipbuilding activity for decades to come. And as the Type 31 programme continues, the fully covered hull will have 2 frigates, so parallel assembly can take place, and this will support productivity gains across the platforms and also encompassing digital connectivity. And for people who are not familiar with this story, Babcock was awarded a $1.25 billion contract to build 5 Type 31 frigates for the Royal Navy in September 2019.
Yeah, it's fantastic, isn't it? It's absolutely fantastic. Okay, Stuart, we'll take a brief pause from this week's news because I want to introduce this week's guest. And it's no other than Matt Pearson, who is Industrial Key Account Manager for MANN+HUMMEL. Matt, welcome to the podcast.
Cheers, Joe. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be on the podcast and looking forward to talking about MANN+HUMMEL to you guys.
Yeah, before we get on to MANN+HUMMEL, let's learn about Matt Pearson, your career to date, your current role and responsibilities, I guess.
So, I've been in the engineering kind of environment industry for kind of over 20 years. I started as an apprentice. I left school, joined a company, did my apprenticeship as a toolmaker for quite a few years at a company called Reynolds Chain, and then got given an opportunity to go into the sales office as an applications engineer. And that gave me a broader range of engineering, what engineering actually is out there. And it was a fantastic job. We did concept chain designs, implemented for roller coasters, a few oddball ones for abattoirs and things like that. So it was a really good role. But the more I went out, the more I got excited about sales and got drawn to the sales side. And I had over 10 years in filtration at filtration companies. And then I had 2 stints. I had a stint in machine tools. And then filtration brought me back with MANN+HUMMEL. And they say rest is history. I've been at these guys now for 7 months. And it's really interesting. Lots of exciting things going on at MANN+HUMMEL. And it's an exciting time.
Brilliant. Well, tell us more about MANN+HUMMEL, both here in the UK and obviously overseas.
So, my responsibility in the MANN+HUMMEL is key account manager for industrial, and that is anything to do with oil mist extraction or anything that produces a mist within the metal working industry, either at machining, VOCs, EDMs, heat treatment, minimal quantity lubricant machining. We've got an actual product to capture that mist, and we're global, so we've got sites all over the world. We've got 80 locations that manufacture various different things. So within MANN+HUMMEL, my sector is such a small part. We're mainly in automotive, so everybody knows us within automotive. But MANN+HUMMEL, we take responsibility for our common goals as one goal team, and together we provide filtration solutions for our cleaner future, separating the useful from the harmful for a better way of life in air and water. So there's not many products that we can't provide the market sector with, either it being filtration, air, or liquids. We've got a solution for most things, and that's the exciting part about MANN+HUMMEL.
Absolutely, and fascinating to hear about your background and the company overview, Matt. People listening to this podcast might be surprised to learn that you actually manufacture in the UK, which is great to hear. Would you mind giving us an overview of your manufacturing capability here in the UK?
Yes, so we've got 2 sites in the UK, and it's really exciting because we manufacture all our own filters, from coalescers to HEPAs to our filters that go into our air purifiers, HVAC systems. We can manufacture nearly any type of filter at our facility in Burnley, and that gives us a bit of a niche against some of our competitors because we manufacture our own HEPAs as well. And the HEPA filters that's where they polish the air within the final stage filtration, and you have to have test facilities. And you guys were up at our facility a few weeks ago, and you saw the testing with our machinery, and it all comes up to EN 1822. The industry standard for HEPA filtration. So they're all graded, certificated before they go into our units or our competitors' units. And we also manufacture our filtration systems in the UK as well, our machine mounted, our tower systems as well with one of our partners. So we can take control of what we do in the UK. And it's nice to have a UK manufacturer. I think it still means something out there when you say UK manufacturing. So that's one of the reasons I kind of joined these guys, because we've got global presence, but one of our facilities is in the UK, so we can make a difference to clean air within the UK with our product range at the same time.
No, absolutely, and it's certainly been a theme this year, and I think you're right. There's a massive advantage in terms of lead times and lots of other things in terms of manufacturing locally. So With regards to projects, and what kind of projects are you currently working on? What applications, products, and so forth? If you can just give us a bit more of an insight into that'd be useful.
So MANN+HUMMEL spend a lot of money on research and development. They put a lot of money back into the business, and there's a few things that we're working on at the moment with products that we're producing. So our filters can go in any type of filter system, oil filter system. So we're manufacturing that in the UK. So we're going to have a wide range of only our own filters, but our competitors at the same time. We've also got a cost-effective solution now with our Tri-Mist product for the oil mist extraction. So we have a premium product, market-leading product that can go into the industry, but we've got a kind of cost-effective solution as well. But also, this is kind of the exciting thing as well. You always see on the news about clean air, people wearing masks. We've got our purified air system, which is available with the HEPA filtration, so it can filter out the particulate and viruses within the air. But we're also going to be launching one with a carbon filter as well. So it's going to filter out all the nasties, but at the same time, the odors as well. They can go into offices, schools, a wide range of applications where we're looking at, we need clean air, basically. So we're constantly looking at new opportunities within filtration to come up with new and innovative, if I get my words out, products to go to market with.
Sounds fascinating. And final question for me, just following on that on that theme, the market. In broader terms, the market for filtration, air filtration at the moment, any themes developing, any patterns, and what your thoughts on, where the market's actually going and the opportunities for you?
Yeah, because we could spend a whole afternoon talking about that, because it's a very interesting question, because it kind of leads on to different things because of the pandemic, what's happened there. It opens everybody's eyes to the welfare of people and the right for you to have clean air, whether it be at your workplace, in your home, in public areas. Yeah, it opens people's eyes to really focus. Actually, everyone's entitled to clean air. So British manufacturing, I think, is going to take a change in stance where they are not just within the manufacturing facilities to clean up the air within those areas, but also in the other areas within their business as well, to get people back to the offices where you're most productive. There's nothing like having a face-to-face meeting, is there, with somebody, or sitting around the table with the engineers and kind of bashing ideas out, looking at drawings. With the product range that we've got, you can put it in the office so you feel safe to go back into that working environment, because everyone started wearing masks again, and that's just a type of filtration. We're taking it to the next level and having a proper filter system within your facility to keep yourself safe and well with the clean air. So it's going to be I think that's the thing we've got to look at with this post-pandemic, the positive out of it. There's been a lot of kind of, it's been a horrible time, hasn't it? But you've got to think, let's make things better. And how are we going to make those things better? So with the World Health Organization, the HSE, these governing bodies we're talking with to try and make clean air the right for people, basically.
Yeah, yeah, I couldn't agree more. I like it. Like how you put that. We've all got a right to clean air. Seems obvious, doesn't it? But maybe in some of our working environments, we don't necessarily get that. But if we can just move on, what's your opinion on British manufacturing and any opportunities in the post-pandemic world?
It's twofold there, because before the pandemic, you've got Brexit, then the pandemic. So within, I would say, the manufacturing world, it's. We could spend, again, a whole afternoon talking about it. The global supply chain is quite fragile. People are manufacturing more products in-house on their own doorstep to cut down on lead times, control those lead times as well, because you just don't know what's going to happen within each individual country at the moment, do you, with the pandemic going on. So products are being delayed. with either paperwork or shipping or shortages in this and shortages in that. I think a lot more countries are going to be manufacturing in their own state to take control back in it. And I think it's brilliant for us because we're global. So any country we can help with our products.
Yeah, and what are your aspirations, ambitions at MANN+HUMMEL? Talking UK in particular, really here. So what are your aspirations moving forward?
For MANN+HUMMEL, I know it's just UK, but we want to provide clean air within the workspace, either it be in an office or factory, with the best extraction solution, because clean air matters. So whoever comes to us with an extraction or requirement for clean air, we have a product. We want to give people clean air. So that the aspirations is to kind of clean up industry, social areas, to make it a cleaner space. And I'll go back to what I said earlier. Everyone has the right to clean air, and we want to help people get that right to clean air.
Brilliant. What a great way to finish your podcast. Matt, thank you so much for coming on. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much for your time, chaps.
A brilliant interview there, Stu. MANN+HUMMEL, they're a bit of a behemoth, aren't they?
Absolutely. And really, really pleased to hear they actually manufacture in the UK, Joe.
Indeed, yeah. Before we go on with the latest news, for people listening to this podcast, please do download the MTDMFG app. It's available for Android and iPhone. It's not hard to find. It's all in all the usual stores. And also, we don't get time to cover all the news on this podcast, unfortunately. So please, obviously, visit our social media channels and mtdmfg.com. But back on with the news, Stuart. Smurfit Kappa, they're going to build another factory. In fact, I think it's their biggest one.
Yeah, Europe's leading corrugated packaging manufacturer, Smurfit Kappa. They've appointed Warrington-based Caddick Construction, and this is to extend the plant in Mould in North Wales, which ultimately will create the largest integrated corrugated plant in the UK. This extension is a major part of the firm's €40 million or £34 million investment to expand capacity at the Mould plant, and designed to help Smurfit Kappa meet the growing demand for sustainable packaging. The Mould plant employs just under 200 staff at present, been in operation since 94. So very good news for North Wales and very good news for the packaging sector.
For sure. This next story, people may not know of Owen Mumford. They've announced plans to build a new factory in Oxford.
Yeah, Owen Mumford, a global leader in the design, manufacturing and advancement of medical devices, has started the construction of a new £14 million production facility in Witney, Oxfordshire. New building is commissioned to align with the company's strong sustainability agenda, designed in accordance with the latest environmental standards to BREEAM certification, the world's leading sustainability assessment for buildings. So, yeah, good news for that part of the world. And it's not a company we've covered before. So, yeah, great to see a new company actually investing.
Yeah, exactly. And we talk about new jobs every single week on this podcast, and this week will be no different. Harrison Spinks has launched a major recruitment drive.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's quite a number of these stories, and unfortunately we can't cover them, as you rightly say, Joe, but please go to MTDMFG and there's plenty more. So Harrison Spinks, a luxury bed maker, they've announced the creation of 40 new jobs, and this is following an increase in demand for its mattresses, beds and components. The fifth generation firm, based just off the M1 in South Leeds, they're looking to fill a number of roles across the company, including many positions within its manufacturing facilities. So, yeah, good news for Leeds.
And the final one's a great story. BP, they've unveiled plans for a major new hydrogen production facility here in the UK.
Yeah, really good news. And there's certainly a theme with hydrogen. We've covered many stories on podcasts this year. So BP is boosting its renewable energy production in the northeast with plans to build a new large-scale green hydrogen facility on Teesside. It's High Green Teesside, as it will be called, will deliver up to 500 megawatts of hydrogen production by 2030. The energy giant is working with industry and local governments such as Tees Valley Combined Authority to increase the pace of decarbonation in transport, and hopes the plant could fuel the development of Teesside into the UK's first major hydrogen transport hub.
Fantastic. Massive news, massive company, and a great way of finishing this week's podcast. I'd like to thank you, Stuart, as always. Big thank you to Matt Pearson of MANN+HUMMEL. But as always, the biggest thank you goes to you guys for listening at home, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening to the Great British Manufacturing Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a rating and a review. You can find us on Twitter using @MTDMFG and @Jefferson_MFG.